Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. So yesterday night Manchester United beat West Brom by 1-0 at Old Trafford thanks to a retaken penalty from Bruno Fernandes. We have finally got our first win at Old Trafford in the Premier League this season, and it's our fourth win in the Premier League this season, and it is our second win in a row. Now, I've got to say, wasn't happy with the performance. Now, West Brom had some good chances in the game. Carl Grant had a good chance for them. David De Gea made a good save. Connor Townsend, he also had a good chance for West Brom. Again, good save from David De Gea. And Callum Robinson came on and he hit the crossbar. Sam Johnston did very, very well in West Brom's goal. He made some very, very good saves. West Brom also had a penalty overturned by VAR. Obviously, Bruno Fernandes had brought Conor Gallagher down. Now, we did have some chances in the game. Anthony Martial, he had a couple of chances early on. Rashford, he also should have got his name on the score sheet because he had a chance. Harry Maguire, he could have scored from like 3 corners. I read some of the stats of the game. I think we had around 17 shots and created around 12 chances. And we had 60% of possession. Now, there were some players that played well for Manchester United, got to say. I thought Alex Telles, he did very, very well on his Premier League debut. I thought he showed some good attacking intent, but he didn't have much to do defensively. Now, I think Alex Telles is going to be a very, very good signing for Manchester United. He also did well on his debut against PSG. Harry Maguire, I thought he had a pretty good game. Made some good challenges. And I think Harry Maguire has really, really rejuvenated himself. I thought Victor Lindelof, he had a pretty good game at the back. Didn't make any mistakes. Made some good challenges. David De Gea, I also thought he did quite well. Like I said, made a couple of good saves in the game. Like I said, David De Gea has rejuvenated himself. This season is David De Gea's 10th season at Manchester United, so he has been a long servant. And I said, he will remain our number one this season. And Wan-Bissaka, he wasn't bad, but he got exposed quite a few times on one-on-one situations. Marcus Rashford, he weren't that good, to be honest with you. Didn't really get many runs in behind, and he looked fatigued, didn't he? Marcus Rashford recently had a shoulder problem, and that's why he wasn't involved in England's game recently. Juan Mata, I also thought he was very, very quiet in the game. But we're only beating them by 1-0, and that came from a penalty. West Brom are a very, very poor team, and they will get relegated this season. They've not yet won a game in the Premier League this season. Now, I was expecting more than 1-0. We obviously beaten Everton 3-1 before the international break. And that wasn't a great performance, but it was better than the one yesterday night. And Solskjaer's obviously came out and gave his own verdict on the game. And he said, the performance was below par by Manchester United. Bruno Fernandes, though, had a good game. Got to say, man the match again. Bruno Fernandes obviously scored the penalty. I think he's at around 44 penalties now that Manchester United have had. The penalty obviously came from a handball. It was actually Juan Mata that won us the penalty. Now, we'll go into the player ratings. So, David De Gea, he's going to get a 6 out of 10. Like I mentioned, he made a couple of good saves in the game. And Wan-Bissaka, he's going to get a 6 out of 10. Harry Maguire, he's going to get a 7 out of 10. Thought he did very, very well at the back. Lindelof, he's going to get a 7 out of 10. Alex Telles, he's going to get a 7 out of 10. Fred, he's going to get a 5 out of 10. Nemanja Matic, he's going to get a 5 out of 10. I don't think they was too good, to be quite honest with you, from my own opinion. Bruno Fernandes, he's going to get a 8 out of 10. Marcus Rashford, he's going to get a 5 out of 10. Juan Mata, he's going to get a 6 out of 10. And Anthony Martial, he's going to get a 6 out of 10. Now, we obviously brought some substitutions on in the game. Obviously, we saw Scott McTominay come on, Donny van de Beek come on, and also Edinson Cavani came on in the game. To be fair, Cavani made an impact, I thought, when he came on, so I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. I also thought Donny van de Beek did quite well when he came on, so I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. Donny van de Beek should be getting more chances soon. Donny van de Beek has not yet made his full Premier League debut for the football club, but he's actually started our last 2 games in the Champions League. Donny van de Beek revealed that Solskjaer had told him that he'll have to be patient and wait for his opportunities. We actually should have started Donny van de Beek. We could have put him on that right-hand side, couldn't we? And McTominay, he's going to get a 6 out of 10. So that is your player ratings. But yeah, we are sitting now 9th in the Premier League. Now, we've got tough games coming up, Obviously, Istanbul Besiktas, I wouldn't say that's a really tough game because that's a game Manchester United should be winning. The preview for that game will be coming up later on today. Then, obviously, after that, we have got Southampton. That's our next league game, and that's going to be a very difficult game because they've had a good start to the season. Then, obviously, we've got PSG coming up. We've got West Ham coming up soon. Leipzig's coming up. Manchester City's coming up. And you've got to say, we won't win any of them games performing like we did yesterday night. Now, obviously, a lot of Manchester United fans are demanding Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out of the football club. I don't think he's the right manager for Manchester United. There's a few Manchester United fans that would like to see Mauricio Pochettino come into the club. He's been the favourite to take over. Obviously, Massimiliano Allegri, he's been another manager on our agenda. Said a few weeks ago that Julian Nagelsmann was on our agenda, and 2 Sport recently said that Roberto Mancini was on our agenda. But I've got to say, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's job is safe for now, isn't it? Now, Paul Pogba wasn't involved in the game yesterday. Solskjaer confirmed that he's suffered an ankle injury. Ole's hopeful that Paul Pogba will be available for the game against Istanbul Başakşehir. Prior to the West Brom game, Solskjaer was talking about Paul Pogba, and he backs Paul Pogba to improve after one-to-one talks. Now, Solskjaer said Paul Pogba is an important player and he is an important person. And he said it's very important to make him happy at the club, but quite clearly, Paul Pogba is unhappy at Manchester United because of his lack of playing time. Now, Paul Pogba recently made a few comments, didn't he? He said this season's been the most difficult period in his career, and he also said playing for France is a breath of fresh air. Because he was speaking about his Man United struggles this season. Reflect on the comments he said, Paul Pogba, he has received a lot of criticism. The France manager Didier Deschamps, he's been talking a lot about Paul Pogba recently. He says he cannot be happy with his situation at Man United, for being left on the bench and for playing out of position. He was saying he understands Paul Pogba better than Solskjaer. And Paul Pogba was unhappy when we triggered that 1-year extension on his contract earlier on in the season. Pogba's under contract with the football club until June 2022. This was also confirmed by Fabrizio Romano. There has been no talks over getting him a long-term contract. Now, it's saying that Pogba intends to leave the club on a free transfer, but we'll obviously want to sell him before we let him go on a free transfer. Now, I'm expecting him to leave the football club next year. He has had a long-running transfer saga. He's been relentlessly linked with a move to Real Madrid. Obviously, there's been narratives of him going back to Juventus. Also, PSG and Barcelona have been in for him before. As it stands at the moment, Pogba's our most expensive signing because we paid £89 million for him. This is his 5th season at the club since he rejoined from Juventus. He's made over 100 appearances for Man United in all competitions. He's won 3 trophies at the club, and that was the Europa League, the League Cup and the Community Shield. We definitely won't get more than the £89 million that we paid for him when we do sell him. Now, obviously, Bay, Marcus Rojo, they're still out with injury. But they recently returned to training for the first time in a month, so they're close now to coming back. Luke Shaw, he's out with a hamstring problem. He's out for up to a month with this, and that's my element of concern about Luke Shaw, too injury prone. Lingard, he's still out with injury but close to returning. Phil Jones, he's obviously still out with injury. So, yeah, there you go. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been Manchester United manager now for almost 2 years. He has got a contract with the football club until 2022. Well, he appointed Solskjaer in December 2018, and he's been permanent Man United manager since March 2019. Now, I think he's in a position that he shouldn't be in, because I think the club made a mistake by giving him the job permanently. But the main explanation for giving the job permanently was reflect on what he did when he first came into the club. Solskjaer obviously knew when he'd taken over the reins at Manchester United, it was going to be a massive job for him, despite the fact that he knows the club inside out because he is a club legend. And I think the main explanation why Solskjaer is still Manchester United manager is because he is a club legend and reflects on that our board are softening their stance on him, because I think if this had been any other manager, they would have been sacked by now, wouldn't they? Don't forget, Ed Woodward said the other week that Manchester United remain absolutely committed to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer despite our poor start to the season. But like I've said to you, Solskjaer's got a few issues to solve at Manchester United. Obviously, he's got to solve the Paul Pogba issue. He's got to identify his best 11. He's got to select the right formation. Solskjaer has gone a lot with that 4-2-3-1 formation since he got appointed in as Manchester United manager. But in a lot of our games, that formation hasn't really seemed to suit our standards. In like the big games, he's gone with a 3-5-2. And quite a few times he's gone with that 4-3-3 formation. Like I said, Solskjaer's got to start Donny van der Beek. Like I said, I think Cavani should start ahead of Martial because Martial hasn't been great this season. Ollie's obviously got to work out his best midfield because obviously you've got Bruno, Fernandes and Fred that are two undroppables, but you've obviously got around 4 players in our midfield fighting for one position. So they're the things he needs to do. And Mason Greenwood, he should be back in contention for Manchester United soon. He didn't play any part yesterday because he's been out with illness. Ollie confirmed prior to the game he wasn't training for like the last 9 days. Mason Greenwood has had a lot of issues. He's had obviously like injuries and he's had personal issues and stuff like that. Don't forget Greenwood was withdrawn from the England under-21 squad. That was due to injuries and personal issues. That was confirmed by Eddie Boothroyd. Earlier on in the season, he was withdrawn from the England squad with Phil Foden for breaking COVID-19 rules. Mason Greenwood is definitely the foreseeable future for Man United. This is his second season in our senior squad. He did well last season in our senior squad. Scored 17 goals for Man United. Mason Greenwood's got a contract with the club until 2023, and at the start of this season, we'll give Mason Greenwood that number 11 shirt. So he's the 4th Manchester United player to wear the number 11. But Solskjaer's been defending Greenwood, and he says he will benefit from taking a step back. And he basically said that he's had a fantastic year. But yeah, this is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's second full season as Manchester United manager. And I said for him to remain in the Manchester United job, he has got to exceed his expectations. Now, he's obviously got to get as a top 4 finish. And obviously he's got to win a trophy. And there is a chance we could win a trophy this season. I'm not going to disregard that. We could possibly win the Carabao Cup because we're into the quarterfinals of that. And we've got Everton, which is going to be a tough game. And we could possibly win the FA Cup, but we won't win the Premier League and we certainly won't win the Champions League. But I think we'll get to the knockout stages of the Champions League. Solskjaer has managed over 100 games now for Manchester United in all competitions. But definitely, his team selections are questionable. He's been very tactically naive in a lot of our games, but in a lot of the big games, he showed a lot of tactical flexibility, hasn't he? Now, Ole has spent over £200 million since he became Manchester United manager, and he's enjoyed 4 transfer windows at the club. Now, in the summer of 2019, he brought Daniel James, and Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire into the club. In January, he brought Bruno Fernandes in, and he brought Odin Igalo in on loan. And in the summer transfer window of this year, he brought Donny van der Beek in, Edison Cavani, Alex Telles, Facundo Pellistri, and Ahmad Traore. So he has made some good signings. Obviously, we've missed out on a lot of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's targets. We missed out on all of his priority targets during the summer transfer window. And Solskjaer revealed a few times during the summer transfer window that he was very, very infuriated with the board. There's been problems with the board at the club for a while now, because the board haven't backed any of the managers that we've had since the Sir Alex Ferguson era. So they didn't back Moyes, they didn't back Van Gaal, they didn't back Mourinho, and obviously, they haven't backed Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough. And we are making plans for next year, which is very, very good, because obviously next year we are looking to make more signings. There has been a lot of players on our agenda. I obviously give you the news regarding Cristiano Ronaldo yesterday morning, was it? And I said him coming back to Manchester United is a possibility, because it is inevitable that Cristiano Ronaldo will leave Juventus. That'll probably be next summer. Next summer, Ronaldo will have 1 year left on his contract with Juventus. Now, Fox Sports journalist Christian Martin, he came out earlier on this month and said that Man United were in talks to bring Cristiano Ronaldo back to the club, and then it mentioned that we made a formal offer to George Mendes, who's Cristiano Ronaldo's agent. Juventus want to get rid of him to free up their wage bill, because Ronaldo's on over 500 grand a week at Juventus. That equates to around 20 odd million pounds per year. Despite the fact that Ronaldo's 35, though, I'd still take him back at Manchester United. Obviously, we know if he came back, he would be short term. Ronaldo's been at Juventus a couple of years now. Juventus paid £100 million for him from Real Madrid. He scored 70 odd goals in 90 odd games for Juventus in all competitions. There's actually been talks of Ronaldo going back to Real Madrid. It also mentions that PSG have been in for him. Ronaldo did enjoy 6 years with us, though. He was with us from 2003 to 2009. In that 6-year period, he won 3 Premier Leagues, the Champions League, the FA Cup and the FIFA Club World Cup. He scored 118 goals in 292 games in all competitions. We only paid £12 million for Ronaldo from Sporting Lisbon. And then when he left us in 2009, we sold him for £80 million to Real Madrid. He's won 5 Ballon d'Ors and he's won 30 major honours in his playing career so far. Now, Jadon Sancho, it says we're going to go back in for him in January. Jadon Sancho was our number 1 priority target during the summer transfer window, but the main explanation why we didn't get him is because Borussia Dortmund wanted £108 million and we was not willing to pay that figure. But it's said a few times during the summer transfer window that we'd agreed the personal terms with Sancho and the agent fees, and that had been agreed, but just couldn't come to an agreement on a fee. But you had Michael Zorg and Lucien Favre saying that Sancho was going to be staying at Dortmund, which he obviously did. And they basically said, Dortmund, that we had until the 10th of August to sign the player. Jadon Sancho hasn't been great, though, this season for Dortmund. Ousmane Dembele's been another player on our agenda. It says we could go back in for him in January. He's one of the alternatives to Sancho. My only element of concern about Ousmane Dembele is that he is injury prone. Sustained a few injuries at Barcelona. He's got a contract with Barcelona till 2022. Barcelona got him in a deal worth 135 million from Dortmund back in 2017. Barca played like 90 odd million pounds up front. We could possibly get Ousmane Dembele on loan with the obligation to buy, but Barcelona would prefer a straight purchase. Said a few weeks ago he could be available for around 45 million pounds. He's a much cheaper solution than Sancho. Next year, we could go in for Erling Haaland. We missed out on him back in January. And it was a shame we missed out on him because I said Erling Haaland would have been an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer type signing. Solskjaer knows the player well. He's available for £68 million, is Erling Haaland, in the summer of 2022 because that's when his release clause does become active. Jack Grealish, it recently said we've revived our interest in him. Now, if we do sell Paul Pogba, I think we can fit him in the team. We was in for Jack Grealish during the summer transfer window, but obviously Villa said that they wanted £80 million. That put us off, and we had obviously concerns about where he would fit in the team. Now, David Carmo from Braga, he's been on our agenda recently. He's obviously a centre-half. Man United are in search for the centre-half. Dan Axel Zagadou, he's another centre-half for Dortmund. He said the other week that he was on our agenda. That Dayat Upamecano from RB Leipzig, he's on our agenda. So, yeah. But yeah, we're going to be looking to make a few signings in January. Man United need a centre-half and we also need a right winger. We're also going to focus on the outgoings next year as well as the incomings. There's still Deadwood at the football club. I think it's confirmed in January we're going to be selling around 4 players, and that's Phil Jones, Sergio Romero, Timothy Fosu-Mensah, and Marcus Rojo. And obviously we're going to be selling more players next summer. I think Matic could leave the club next year. He has lost his place in the team, but like I said, he did start yesterday, surprisingly, because I didn't think he would have started. I thought McTominay would have started ahead of him. That's what I thought. Juan Mata, do you think he could be possibly sold next year? Daniel James, he could possibly be sold next year because he's out of form, is Daniel James. And he's actually lost his place in the team as Daniel James. But Daniel James said he still loves it at Manchester United despite his lack of action. He played a lot of games last season though. We got Daniel James in a deal worth £18 million from Swansea in June last year. I expect Pogba to leave next year. Migalo will leave the football club when his loan expires in January. There's a possibility chance that we could loan Brandon Williams out because obviously Williams is now our third choice left back following the arrival of Alex Telles. Williams did play a lot of games though last season. So yeah. But in reality, I think Man United need around 5 signings to win the Premier League title, and we probably need around 2 signings to compete for the Premier League title. We haven't won the Premier League for 8 years. Last time we won it was back in 2013 in Alex Ferguson's last season. Now, obviously, we've seen a lot of players depart the club since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got recommended in. Solskjaer did well in his first full season, which was obviously last season, got us qualification for the Champions League, also got us third and guided us to 3 semi-finals. So yeah, these some positives you can take. Ollie is our fourth permanent manager since the Sir Alex Ferguson era. You know, we've sacked 3 managers since the Ferguson era, and that was Moyes, Louis van Gaal, and Jose Mourinho. So we haven't really got the structure to keep sacking managers. We've spent over £1 billion in the last 7 or 8 years. We've recruited over 30 odd players in since the Sir Alex Ferguson era. You know, we've overpaid for players in recent years. You know, we paid like 89 million for Pogba, 80 million for Maguire, 75 million for Lukaku, 60 million pounds for Di Maria, 50 million for Fred, 50 million for Wan-Bissaka. So there you go. But like I said, you know, we are sitting 9th in the Premier League. It is nowhere near good enough to our standard. You know, there's a long way to go in the season. It wasn't a good performance, like I said yesterday, by Man United, but all that matters is the win. That's all Manchester United needed. So anyway, guys, that's everything to update you today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.